All right, good morning, everyone. I'm Gina Sudan, the president of the Wyoming County Chamber of Commerce, and I thank you for joining us for our Restart, Rebound, Rebuild series. We have with us this morning Heather McPherson. She's the superintendent of the Tunkhannock Area School District. And we want to talk about kind of rebuilding our schools after COVID. So there has been some information put out by the Department of Education, some preliminary guidance for phased reopening of pre-K through 12 schools. It's very extensive, and the guidance was just put out, I want to say, within the last couple weeks. It has not been out very long. So please bear with us this morning. All of the plans are very preliminary, and they're changing as they come up with new ideas and new methods. But Heather is so gracious in sharing with us what she knows. And as you all know, that you that have been on these calls with us, all of the information that we've presented in our series is forever changing. And we just continue to provide you with the most up-to-date information that we have. And we appreciate your patience and understanding with that. I would ask that you leave your phones muted today. If you have questions for Heather, please type them into the chat, and I will get to them as we can. Heather has a presentation prepared, so we're going to do a little different than our normal RRR series, in that she is going to present what she has to us. And then I have a couple of questions for her. And again, if anybody else has questions, you could type them into the chat, and we'll get to questions as time allows. So without further ado, Heather, would you want to get started?
Thank you, and thanks to everybody who's joining us this morning. I appreciate your interest. As Gina said, this is an extremely fluid time right now, and so any of these plans are subject to change. Tunkhannock is in a very good position, and I really we're working extremely hard. Here, our admin team, our teachers this summer are working very hard, and I'll explain to you kind of what the vision is going into next year. I'm going to share my screen with you. These are some of the slides that I shared with, I did a Loom video with parents, and I use these slides, and even things have changed since then. We've received guidance on how to reopen athletics. We've received, yesterday I had additional guidance on that. I haven't even had time to read it yet. And so as we move closer and closer to August, I know that things are going to change. The way that they have set up the guidance from PDE is that you need a plan for green, for being in the green phase. You need a plan for being in the yellow phase. And if we're in the red phase, then school is closed down. So you need a plan then as well. So I'll just run through the slides that I shared with our parents. Our first priority is the health and safety of staff and students, obviously. So whatever plan that we come up with, we need to be agile enough that we can serve students who get sick, and kids get sick. So we want to have a system in place where if the child is not feeling well, that the child can stay home. If there's a member of the family that's sick, then the child can stay home, even for a week at a time or whatever. But if there's a family member that is medically fragile, say an elderly grandparent or something, then we need a system, and we need an educational system in place where those children can stay home, be educated from home with our teachers, and they can stay on pace with the kids that are actually coming to school. So these are some of the challenges that we're facing here. Our second priority is the academic preparation of students. We need students to be prepared to move on to the next grade level, to be prepared to enter the workforce, to be prepared to go on to college. So that is our second priority as well. I am planning for 4 different scenarios. The first is that we could return under normal conditions. And the second is that we would return with social distancing requirements, screening capabilities, et cetera, in place. The third scenario is that we would return and then we would have to close again in the fall. And the fourth scenario is that we cannot return. That we would be in the red in the fall and that we would not be able to return. So these are sort of the risks that I see in our future. One is an academic slide of students. We closed school on March 13th. Our teachers did an amazing job. We were ready. When we went out, I had asked teachers to prepare 2 weeks of work. So we had been working on this for about 3 weeks prior to the March 13th close. I saw this coming, and so I wanted to give us a little bit of extra time. I didn't realize that school would be closed until the end of the year. But I had asked teachers to prepare 2 weeks worth of academic work to send home with kids in the event that we were asked to close. So it bought us a little bit of time because all of that material was review. And at the time, again, that we closed, that's what we were told to do. As we moved closer into May, we closed out the third marking period, and then we started with new material. And again, we were prepared for that. Once we started building the review material, we built in the Edmentum system new material. We just hid it from the kids. So when May 1st rolled around, really all we had to do was flip a switch, and then the teachers really got on board and were adding even more new material. Obviously, we're worried about liability, safety of our workforce, the availability, supply chain for equipment and cleaning supplies, masks perhaps, that we may need. I see the biggest threat to us right now as cyber charter enrollment. And I have walked parents through what the real cost of cyber charter is. Any of you that are on Facebook, you're going to be seeing a lot of promotional ads for TASD. There was one we put out this week, actually, and I have a very creative group of teachers working on developing these. But cyber charter schools are hitting really hard. They're advertising really hard, and I need the community to understand what is the real cost of cyber charter, because when they promote and they market to parents and to students, they talk about how free it is. It's free. It's not free. And I need people to understand that every TASD student who enrolls in a cyber charter school, now I'm talking about, these are for-profit cyber charter schools, Agora, PA Charter, PA Virtual, $15,000 for every regular ed student that enrolls, walks out the door. That's money that PDE sends to the cyber charter school instead of sending to us. So it's not free. Those are your tax dollars, and they're walking out the door. If the child has an IEP, the child has any kind of special education needs, it's $34,000. All right. So last year alone, we had 72 students in cyber charter school. Now that's K to 12. We had 72 students enrolled in cyber charter school, and that was a loss of 1.5 million. So you can imagine my fear is that if we don't have an alternative for parents who do not feel safe in returning their children to school, and their only option is a for-profit cyber charter school, the loss to this district is going to be immense, and we will lose programming. There is no doubt in my mind. So last year, we created Fusion C3. Now, last year, we basically started our own cyber charter program, and we had about 25 kids enrolled, but they were only in grades 8 through 12. So what we allowed the kids to do was come into campus, take part in our CTC programs. They could be in the band, they could be in chorus, they could come in and they could take part in the activities they wanted to, but they did the majority of their classwork, English, math, science, and social studies online. And so that was money that we didn't lose. I can't say we gained it, but we didn't lose it. All right. So we had that last year, and we learned a lot. We learned a ton. So the pros to that, what parents and kids liked was it was our teachers who were on the other end of those courses. Okay, they were our teachers. You could make an appointment. You could talk to them. We had people that were reaching out all the time. The students could participate in our electives on campus. We had kids that were coming in. They were doing their coursework online, but they were coming in to work on the little house, the tiny house that we were building for Patriots Cove. And so it allowed kids to work. It was flexible hours in terms of getting their schoolwork done. Their class time was set, but they could work around that. Now, the cons, what we learned very quickly was the courses were what we call canned. So these were courses that we were purchasing, and they weren't our courses. So they didn't necessarily move at the same pace that our courses that our teachers would use. And the teachers didn't have the comfort with them, obviously, because it wasn't their created material. So very early on, we realized that we wanted to build our own courses. And then the pandemic hit. And so what that's done is it has fast-tracked our desire to build these courses and to expand our Fusion C3 program K-12. So we will have that available next year. Our teachers are working on it. It will not be Admentum. It will not be Accelerate, which are the courses that we've used so far. It will be TASD crafted and created courses on a platform called Canvas, which allows us to use our materials, our teachers. Teachers can post videos of themselves teaching at the lower grade levels, maybe reading a story. They can interact the same as we're interacting now through a Zoom-like feature. They can pull in all sorts of different technologies like Nearpod and things that they have been using. It is extremely versatile, and it will give us the agility to not only serve those students whose parents or grandparents don't want them to return, it will allow kids to stay home when they're sick. And that's really, really critical. So because these courses the kids at home will be moving along at the same pace with a TASD teacher. So it is ambitious. I think that what you're going to see is you're going to see a variety of things from a variety of districts around us. I know that this is an ambitious plan. I also know it's what the kids in this community deserve. So that's what we're going to do. So our mission this summer is to create a schedule in the buildings that allows for social distancing, to create that online platform that mirrors our classroom content and curriculum on that Canvas platform, expand the Fusion C3 to go from grades K to 12, again, to give parents an option besides a for-profit cyber charter school. We're going to train our teachers to create those courses and to use the courses simultaneously. So while kids that are here will actually be also working on devices and learning how to use this platform in the classroom so that if we go out again, they're going to know it, right? There was a huge learning curve for parents. There was a huge learning curve for kids. Grandparents really struggled with the devices and accessing content this spring. The kids are going to already know how to use these things. And we're going to be here for the parents and the kids who are doing this full-time online. We're going to be learning partners with them. Our teachers have always been more than just content experts. So we're going to be reaching out to families and really trying to support them. We're going to develop the protocols for deep cleaning classrooms and school buses, etc. And we continue to try to address connectivity issues for students. This summer, I shouldn't say that, the spring, we had purchased 100 hotspots. So we need to come up with a plan to help families pay for those internet connectivity as well. And we will do that. So these are only ideas. And these are the things that we're working on, and the board has not approved any of this, so I don't want to get ahead of myself. I mean, they've seen this, the things that I think that we need to address this summer. The social distancing idea, we are in a good position. We still own the Mahoopany building, and so we have classroom space up there, and we are able then to socially distance all of our students K-6. And to be quite honest with you, that's what this community needs. Like we understand childcare needs issues, and we're able to do it, so we should do it and do it well. The other thing that it addresses is that academic slide. So our teachers are extremely excited about the prospect of really having 10 to 12 kids to work with all year long. I think that Tunkhannock not only has the potential to catch up, but I think we have the potential to speed ahead as far as the academics of our K-6 kids. So our reading specialists are going back in the classroom, and they're gonna, I mean, think of the possibilities. I'm excited about this because I think we have a chance to really reinvent the way that we do public education, and the way that we, we think about what is the best ways to do it. So we have 9 classrooms at Mahoopany that we can utilize, and that's right now that's being considered. So K-6 would have instruction brick and mortar every single day. The high school, I'm not really sure. It's going to depend on the guidance that we get going forward. We could do a flipped A-B schedule, so kids would be here every other day in front of their teachers and still do that 10 to 12 in a classroom. We could do that. I don't know that we will. That it remains to be seen. All of this requires us to go to one-to-one. So every child will have a device. At the primary level, that'll be iPads. Going from 3rd up, it'll be Chromebooks. And we have thrown some of our grant money at that project. But we believe that we can achieve the goal of going one-to-one. So that way, if we have to go out, we have to close for a period of time or whatever, every kid's going to have their own device to take home with them. We're not going to be sharing Chromebooks. We're not going to be sharing devices. Every child will have their own device that is designated for them. No more computer labs, except in the classroom where that is absolute, that's required. Because every kid will be carrying their own device, and 7th through 12th graders can take them home every night with them if they want to. But if we have to go out again, every primary and intermediate student will have their own device. Expanding that Fusion C3 option, I talked about that already. There may be phases where we choose to minimize student movement. So between the yellow and the green, there may be some restrictions. I know some schools are, concerned about the cafeteria, things like that. So, it is a very fluid kind of situation here right now. And about 2 weeks into it, I met with my teachers, and I had actually found this article in the New York Times, and written by a writer that I like a lot. But he talked about pivoting. And I know that in the business world, that is not a new word. In the education world, we don't pivot very well. I will tell you that about 2 weeks into this, I just felt like, all right, enough hand-wringing, enough, talking about everything we've lost. We need to pivot into this challenge. And so we have. And I will tell you, I cannot say enough good things about our faculty. I cannot praise our administrative team anymore. We have worked really hard, and I believe we have done a great job, and we will continue to do a good job. And as I said to parents, just because you can't imagine it doesn't mean that we can't imagine it. So I just I ask the community to be patient and to trust us. We will be prepared. We will be prepared and on all fronts. And we have pivoted, and we are going to meet this thing full on, and we're going to do it well. We're going to do it well. Gina, do you have questions for me?
Yes, Heather, first and foremost, I want to say congratulations to you and your staff for doing such a great job and being forward thinkers. I've loved working with you for the past several years, and all the teachers at this school district. I think what you do incredibly well is see big picture. So I'm not surprised at all that you were quick to tell them, all right, we need to have a plan now. And I know that you had the beginning of a plan long before the Department of Education started putting out any information, that you were already thinking these things. A few things that I see parents really starting to worry about is, how can we expect our kids to wear masks all day, especially with the heat in some of those buildings? It's hot in there. So how can we expect our kids to wear a mask all day? Do you have any guidance or thoughts on that?
I don't envision the need for them to wear masks all day.
Okay.
I think that if we have 10 to 12, especially the little kids, we have 10 to 12 kids in a classroom, we can socially distance them. And, there may be points in the day during transition times where we may ask kids, for their own safety. But I do not see that as that's going to be the way things are.
Right. And I think people need to understand that it is kind of an either or, right? If you can safely social distance, then you don't need to have a mask on. So I think you're creating a good system for that. We have a question about students with IEPs. How will that be addressed? Obviously, there are students who may need a little more support in our classrooms, and they may be in higher grades. So we address the K through 6 will be there every day. But there are certainly 7th and 8th graders who have IEPs, and even up to 12th grade, that need that attention every day. Is there a plan for that?
Yeah. Yes, we're working on that. We're working on assigning caseloads and how can we best do that. The high school schedule, well, I should say the 7 through 12 schedule is still a very big mystery to me. And as we are opening up sports and things like that, it's going to kind of give us an idea of what we're capable of doing. So again, that AB schedule is something we could consider, but maybe that's for the yellow phase, right? Like I don't have any kind of concrete that I can tell you, any kind of concrete plan that I can tell you. But I will tell you that those kids that need to be supported will be supported. And we have, there's going to be some shuffling around based on certifications, but understand too that you have a lot of teachers who are teaching in regular ed right now who have a special ed certification. So the attention that kids with IEPs can get and the help they can get this year, especially in the lower grades, I think is going to be really significant.
Sure. Another thing that stuck out to me when I read the Department of Education's plan or guidance, if you will, is that you need to create protocols around adjusting transportation schedules to practice social distancing during transportation. Obviously, transportation in our district is a huge headache and has always been. So this is something that I know you probably are like, yeah, we're gonna get to that, and obviously it's a pretty big deal. But I was just wondering if you have anything you can tell us on that right now.
I don't, except that right now we're just like looking at rosters. We're looking at bus routes. We're looking at schedule. So If we were to utilize Mahoopany, might that building start earlier? And then I don't know yet. I can't give you any definitive. But it's funny because I know that transportation has always been a big concern here. I will remind everybody that we have gotten better every year, and what people thought couldn't be done, we've done. And so I ask for trust and patience, because we will figure this out. I want everyone to know you got a lot of brain power behind this, and we will figure it out. And I work with a team. I work with a team who always believes and knows I believe better is possible. And boy, every year we strive for it.
And I have no doubt that you will figure it out, and that we will have a better plan, have a plan, and you will make it better as time goes on, right? And that's exactly what we saw with the consolidation. People thought that could never happen. And, I think for the most part, that is going as smoothly as can be expected. Here's another question that has just came in. So there's some concerns about the Fusion C3. Are the instruction or material is different than the instruction in the school? Can you clarify, will the instruction for Fusion C3 be different than the instruction in the school district this year?
It will be the same. So those kids will be using, they'll do the foundations. They'll do I'm trying to think of, Benchmark Achieve is our reading series, right? Mm-hmm. All of that stuff. This is totally created by TASD teachers. It is not Edmentum. It's not what you guys saw right out of the gate when we started going online. It's not Edmentum. This is created and born out of TASD teachers. So it will be the same. It will be on pace. It will be created by our teachers, and it will be taught by our teachers. So I assure you that it will allow kids to come in and out. Or let's say in December, we have a vaccine, all right, and grandparents feel comfortable returning their children to school. They can come back to school and they will be on pace with the kids who were here from September to December, using the same materials. This is actually, it's forcing us to grow. It's forcing us to become more agile. It's forcing us to meet the needs of kids who maybe we didn't see or we didn't prioritize those needs before. Well, now we have to. And I recognize that we have to. So our teachers recognize it, and we will. So I know that's a concern. And some of the promotional stuff that you're going to see coming out, these promotional ads. Did you see that one, Gina, with the tiger stripes?
I didn't, but I'm going to go look for it.
It's really good. And we have a lot of really great ideas. You're going to see probably another, dozen of those come out over the summer. Just asking teachers or asking parents to please stick with us. Stick with us because we can do this better than anybody else. And, and then if at some point you decide you want your kid to come back, they're not going to miss a beat. Not going to miss a beat.
Here's another question for you, Heather. And I know we've discussed this a couple of times, but do you see any support from legislators to help with the cyber charter trends that are costing the districts money? And it's a tricky one to answer.
There needs to be cyber charter reform, in my opinion. They do not turn on the lights. They don't plow the parking lots. They don't shovel the sidewalks. They don't have any heat. They don't have any cafeteria costs, and yet they get the same subsidy for a child that we get, and all the related services that we provide. So do I think that's fair? No, I don't think that's fair. And I know that there have been attempts at reform. I don't have any kind of inside information that says that any of those will be successful in being passed.
I don't know that, obviously I don't know that that's first and foremost right now, but certainly should be. Internet connectivity is a huge concern in our rural areas. Will more hotspots be available for students who may need them this year?
Yes, I just need to figure out how to pay for them. Yes.
Okay. And we can work on that because I know there are some businesses who've offered some support. So we can
Yes.
talk offline about that. A couple of things as a parent that I saw this year was I felt like communication was coming from everywhere, right? So Remind was sending me information about what my kid needed to be doing, and the portal had information about what my kid needed to be doing. And I was getting 86 emails a day that told me what my kid needed to be
Yeah.
doing. And I was getting text messages and phone calls from the school. And I, as a parent, felt overwhelmed,
Yeah.
let alone how my kids felt, right? So I'm wondering, is there a process in place to streamline that communication where a parent knows I just need to go to the portal and check the portal, and I'm not going to get 86 different forms of communication and have to look in 10 different places to figure out, my
Right.
kid needs to read these 5 Achieve articles and practice band and do,
Right.
everything's coming from, yeah.
Right.
Plus,
Okay.
I have to
So,
work.
right. So this is one of the reasons we chose Canvas. So Canvas is the student can have an app on their phone, or the parent can have an app on their phone. When you open that page, everything is there. So there's a math icon. There's a there's a math. There's a ELA. There's a science. There's a social studies, and all the student has to do is click on those icons, and it will come up. Yeah, that was we heard that loud and clear.
Yeah.
Which was one of the reasons we chose Canvas, because it is one platform, and everything can be located there.
Great. Yeah, I think it certainly made me feel like I was always missing something or going to miss something. Are there additional questions for Heather? I think she's answered most of the questions I had. Again, I want to reiterate that I really feel that our school district, I mean, I talk to chambers from across the country pretty much weekly, and I think our school district is way ahead of the game across the board with a plan. It may not be, 100% solid yet, but it's more of a plan that I've seen and that I've heard from any other communities out there. So when Heather says stick with our school district, I'm 100% there with you. I think that our business community is behind you. If you, whatever you need from us, we'll always be here to help you with that. And I think that you know best our needs and can really see those needs in our kids beyond what a cyber school who's, again, kids from all across the nation in metro areas and rural areas, and they may not understand your connectivity issues, and they're not going to send you a hotspot, and they're not going to pay for that hotspot, right? There's a lot of different things that are involved with this. So please ask Heather if you have any questions. She's very easy to contact via email or your phone number. I know you've given that out before as well.
836-3111 extension 1000. And I would much rather, I get hundreds and hundreds of emails a day. Call me, I return phone messages, and I will call you back, okay? If I'm not here. But I would much rather talk to people than try to communicate with emails. When I got here this morning, I had a parent yesterday who emailed me, and I emailed her back my phone number and said, please call me. I would rather talk to you and make sure that I'm actually answering your questions. So just encourage people to use that number, because I want to communicate. We will do a lot of communications this summer. I know sometimes you guys get tired of hearing from us. And there was a push to communicate this spring, and we wanted people to feel connected. And I know it got overwhelming, but it was with the best of intentions.
And I didn't bring up the over communication
No,
effort. Mine was more about the curriculum piece of the
right.
education. I certainly appreciate, because I think during this time of so much uncertainty, the more communication, the better. We need to know what you know, and that has always been something that you have said to us, is that you will communicate with us what you know when you know it. So I appreciate that. I think our business community certainly appreciates that. And I want to say thank you. Please express our thank you to the teachers who did not get time to enjoy any of this. Their summers have been probably overworked more than the rest of us right now, right? They're probably working harder than many of us right now, and we certainly appreciate that as parents and as a business community.
Yeah, we have a lot of work to do this summer. The board has a lot of work to do. We're going to work together, try to make the best decisions that we can, and communicate those decisions in a very fluid environment. So things may change, and but I think that we need to do the best that we can. And I do know that we can bring back K-6 every single day, and we can do social distancing, and so we should do that, because we have that capacity.
And as I've said through all of our restart, rebound, rebuild phase, patience is key. Understanding is key. The same with our businesses have been the same, that our businesses have been hit with many regulations. Our school district has, books of, things that they need to read through, decipher, and then submit their plan, right? So they not only have to have a plan like your businesses do, but they also have to submit their plan to the Department of Education. So bear with them, and thank you all for joining us again today. Thank you, Heather, for rebuilding our education system in an effective manner that is going to put our kids first. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Be well, everybody.
Thank you. You as well. Bye.